The Wework delusion. How a man convinced the world a real estate company was worth $47 billion. The number: $47 billion. That is what investors believed Wework was worth in January 2019. Not a technology company, not a pharmaceutical breakthrough, not an energy giant. A company that rented office space. It took desks, put them in buildings, and charged people to sit at them. And somehow, the smartest investors on the planet handed over billions of dollars for a piece of it. This is not a story about greed alone. It is a story about belief. About how one man, with the right vocabulary, the right charisma, and absolutely no shame, convinced an entire industry to suspend its judgment. His name was Adam Neumann, and for 4 years, he was the most dangerous person in business. The vision merchant Adam Neumann did not sell office space. He sold a feeling. He called Wework a physical social network. He said it would solve loneliness. He talked about elevating the world's consciousness. He stood on stages and told investors that Wework's true competitors were not other co-working spaces. They were Amazon, Google, Alibaba. People believed him. Neumann had a gift that very few people in history have possessed: the ability to make someone feel, in his presence, that the ordinary rules of reality did not apply, that the future he was describing was not only possible, but inevitable, that the only question was whether you would be part of it. He also had SoftBank. In 2017, Masayoshi Son, founder of SoftBank and operator of the world's largest technology fund, met Neumann for 12 minutes. 12 minutes. At the end of those 12 minutes, Son committed $4.4 billion to Wework. He later said he preferred to invest in founders who were slightly crazy, that crazy people changed the world. What he did not say, but would later discover, is that there is a difference between crazy and reckless, between visionary and fraudulent, between a founder who bends the rules and one who simply ignores them. The numbers behind the vision. In August 2019, Wework filed its S-1 document, the public filing a company must submit before listing on a stock exchange, the moment of full transparency. The document was 359 pages long. Analysts read it, and what they found inside changed everything. In 2018, Wework had earned $1.8 billion in revenue. It had also lost $1.9 billion. For every single dollar Wework brought in, it spent more than $2 to bring it in. The losses were accelerating. The more locations Wework opened, the more money it lost. And it was opening locations as fast as it possibly could. But the numbers were almost secondary to what else the filing revealed. Neumann had trademarked the word "we," and then charged his own company $5.9 million to license it back. He had borrowed money from Wework while simultaneously serving as its landlord, renting properties he personally owned to the company at a profit. He had taken hundreds of millions in stock loans and used them to buy real estate, a private jet, and a wave pool in the Hamptons. The S-1 was supposed to be the moment investors finally saw the real Wework. It was, just not in the way Neumann had intended. The unraveling. The reaction was immediate. Analysts who had valued Wework at $47 billion revised their estimates. 40 billion, then 30, then 20, then 8. In 6 weeks, Wework's paper valuation had fallen by $39 billion. Not because the offices had changed, not because the customers had left, because people had finally read the documents. The IPO was withdrawn. The company needed emergency funding simply to make payroll. SoftBank, the same firm that had pushed for the sky-high valuation, was now being asked to rescue the company it had helped create. The board removed Newman as CEO in September 2019. As part of his exit package, his severance for nearly destroying the company, he received $1.7 billion. $1.7 billion to leave. The bodies left behind. In November 2019, Wework announced it would lay off approximately 2,400 employees. These were not executives. These were community managers, cleaners, maintenance staff, people who had been told, repeatedly, that they were part of something revolutionary. Many had taken below-market salaries in exchange for stock options, options that were now nearly worthless. Newman, meanwhile, had already converted much of his equity to cash before the collapse. He had seen the numbers. He knew what was coming. The people who lost the most were the ones who had believed the most. This is the pattern that repeats in every collapse this vault investigates. The architects exit with their wealth intact. The believers absorb the consequences. The aftermath. SoftBank ultimately wrote down over $14 billion in losses on its Wework investment. The single largest investment loss in the history of venture capital. Masayoshi Son publicly called the investment foolish. He said he had been inspired by Newman's energy and had underweighted the numbers. He lost $14 billion because he was inspired. Wework eventually went public through a SPAC merger in 2021, valued at $9 billion. Less than 1/5 of its 2019 peak. In November 2023, Wework filed for bankruptcy. The company that had once promised to change the world's consciousness ended its existence unable to pay its rent. Adam Newman, for his part, moved on. He launched a new real estate startup in 2022. It raised $350 million in its first funding round. From the same investors. What Wework actually was. Wework was not a technology company that failed. It was a real estate company with a technology company's story, and an almost unlimited willingness to spend money it did not have to maintain that story. The question the Wework collapse forces us to ask is not why Adam Newman did what he did. The answer to that is obvious. The question is why it worked for so long. Why the investors, with access to the numbers, with armies of analysts, with decades of experience, kept writing the checks. The answer is uncomfortable. Because when someone tells you a story you want to believe, the desire to believe it is stronger than the evidence against it. Every $47 billion lie starts with someone who wants to be convinced. The vault stays open.